As you all know, there's a global pandemic that's going around, and the world's just gone crazy over it. They're hoarding food, hoarding toilet paper. People think that once you get it, you're gonna die. And all in all, it is a scary situation. But in times like this, whether it be a global pandemic or a natural disaster, anything, what should a Christian response be? First off, should a Christian be afraid? Well, no, but they can be. Now, I know many of you are thinking, but that contradicts where it says we were not given a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power. But there is a difference between being afraid and having fear. Fear creates a reaction, most likely negative. Being afraid is acknowledging a situation is scary. To illustrate my point, let's look at two famous figures from the Old Testament, Abraham and David. Okay, Abraham, he showed fear when he went into Egypt because he lied about his relationship with his wife because he feared that if they saw how beautiful she was, they would kill him. And well, God, he gave the Pharaoh a dream to say, "Don't touch his wife," and Pharaoh rebuked Abraham. Okay, then David, he also was afraid. Okay, whether it was being chased by Saul or being chased by his own son. And if we read into Psalm 18, 4 through 6, he writes, "The pangs of death surrounded me, and the floods of ungodliness made me afraid. The sorrows of Sheol surrounded me. The snares of death confronted me. In my distress I called upon the Lord, and cried out to my God. He heard my voice from his temple, and my cry came before him, even to his ears." So, as you can see, Abraham and David had two very different responses to a very scary situation. Abraham lied, David cried out to God. Okay, now let's look at two examples from the New Testament. First, Peter. Okay, Peter denied Jesus. He even cursed, saying he did not know him. And Jesus turned and looked at him. And then Peter wept. The next time Peter experienced fear was in Acts, and he was in a church. He had been eating with the Gentiles, but then Messianic Jews came in, and he left the Greeks to eat with the Jews. Paul came in and had to rebuke him. Okay, next example is Jesus himself. Okay, when he was about to be crucified, yes, he was afraid. And in Matthew 26, 36 to 39, we see his response to being afraid. Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane, and said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go and pray over there." And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and he began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed, or afraid. Then he said to them, "My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me." He went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." So again, his response to being afraid was to pray. This should be our response when any sort of crisis happens, whether it's like this current pandemic, or whether if it's a natural disaster, or if it's even a terrorist attack. Whatever it is, what should a Christian response be? Praying. So, yes, this situation is scary, but that should bring us to our knees. And then we'll be able to respond accordingly rather than reacting like the world. And that is part of what being a Christian is. Do not be conformed any longer to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our mind. Because when you are not acting like the world will see there is something different. And if you are not freaking out, the human response is to go towards stability. And if your response is stable, it will draw people to what you have. This creates a great opportunity to share the gospel to non-believers. However, if instead you decide to react due to fear, they aren't going to listen to what you have to say because you're just like them. And during a time such as this, it will especially make the gospel harder to share because the Bible calls God the God of all peace. And if you are not showing peace, then they may say, "How can he be the God of peace if this person is acting just like I am?" So, in conclusion, we need to stop and pray whenever a crisis like this arises. We should not panic by everything. That does not mean to not be prepared. It just means to not act as the world acts, but pray, pray, pray. And if you see someone in need, help them, because that is what a true Christian does. So, to anyone watching, I pray you all stay safe, and that the God of all peace will come to comfort you. Good day, and God bless.